All right, this just in to CNN. We have an update on Mitch McConnell's health coming in. The Senate Republican leader's office has just released some new details.
All right, I want to bring in CNN's Manu Raju and CNN chief medical correspondent Dr. Sanjay Gupta. Manu, you got your hands on this release. What does it say?
Yeah, that's right. Giving more details after the second health scare involving Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell, who, as we remember, froze last week in front of cameras for roughly 30 seconds. That also occurred back in July. And this also in the aftermath of him hitting his head, suffering a concussion back in March. This providing more information in the aftermath of that second health scare. So this is a letter that was released by McConnell's office from Brian Monahan, who is the Capitol Hill attending physician. It's a brief letter, so I will read it to you in full. It says, "My examination of you following your August 30th, 2023 brief episode included several medical evaluations." It says brain MRI imaging, EEG study, and consultations with several neurologists for a comprehensive neurology assessment. And it goes on to say, there is no evidence that you have a seizure disorder or that you experience a stroke, TIA, or movement disorders such as Parkinson's disease. There are no changes recommended in treatment protocols as you continue recovery from your March 2023 fall. So there's been a lot of questions about what exactly happened to Senator McConnell. Republicans are coming back, and the Senate, and Democrats coming back to the Senate for the first time in roughly 5 weeks on a recess, and this Republican leader facing questions himself about how long he can continue to serve in office. Now, for the first time, providing this information about that he had these examinations, that there's no evidence of a seizure or a stroke. A lot of speculation that that could have been the case. At the time, John, as you know, Republicans, or the leader's office, only indicated that he had lightheadedness. That's what they attributed those two frozen moments to. And that's last week when Brian Monahan, the Capitol physician, released a letter. He said lightheadedness could occur from those who suffered a concussion, as McConnell did back in March. So it was unclear exactly whether it was tied to that fall or not. But here, indicating in this note, they say no evidence of a seizure or a stroke. The question is, or Parkinson's disease. The question is, will that alleviate any concerns that are lingering on Capitol Hill?
Manu, thank you for jumping on so quickly to bring us this update. Sanjay, not only as a dear friend and chief medical correspondent, but neurosurgeon in your own right, talk to me about what you hear from the Capitol physician here, that they did MRI imaging, an EEG study, and other consultations with several neurologists.
Well, it sounds like they did a pretty comprehensive sort of evaluation. So this was, I think Manu said August 30th, so a few days ago now. So apparently after that last episode, it sounds like there was enough concern. It doesn't sound like they did these types of tests in July after that first episode, but after this most recent episode, you know, the idea that was this a stroke, was this a seizure, or was this something else like a movement disorder such as Parkinson's and medications not working well. It sounds like they evaluated for all those things: brain MRI, EEG, and then a neurological evaluation, sounds like, and basically saying none of those things seem to be the case here. So that's good. That's good news. I think I'm curious to know what kind of follow-up, you know, when you do these types of imaging tests or do an EEG, you're getting sort of these snapshots in time. So sometimes things may be happening, but you don't catch them on the scans. But nevertheless, it's a pretty thorough evaluation. And as Manu said, they're basically saying, look, he had this concussion back earlier in the spring. As a result of that, lightheadedness, which is a little bit of a tough line to draw between the concussions, lightheadedness, and these symptoms. But that's basically what this note is saying. We've ruled out some of the leading other possible things here.
That's what the note specifically does. It says what it's not. It says no evidence of seizure, no evidence of stroke, no evidence of TIA, no Parkinson's. It does not do as much to say definitively what it is. There's a suggestion it is connected to the concussion, Sanjay. In your field, and again, this is very much your field, can you always know what it is, or can all you do is to rule things out?
Yeah, that's a great question. Sometimes you'll get a definitive diagnosis. I mean, something pops out. You do an EEG and someone is clearly having a certain type of seizure, which could explain those symptoms. That would rule in a diagnosis. But yeah, a lot of times with something like this, you are saying, hey, look, what are the worst things that could possibly be causing this? You want to hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. That sort of mentality. So you look at the worst possible things and start to rule them out. A brain MRI. Is there blood collection still in the brain? Is there a tumor? Is there something else there? It sounds like the brain MRI. They don't say that definitively, but they say basically give you the impression that it was normal. An EEG. No evidence of a seizure disorder. So those are pretty good tests. And then it sounds like he had neurologists also evaluate him, do a full exam to see does he have any evidence of Parkinson's disease, a movement disorder, which oftentimes you can diagnose by doing a good neurological exam. So they've looked at sort of the worst things, frankly, that could be causing these types of symptoms, these freezing episodes, and basically saying we don't find anything here at this point. So it's good news. I mean, it's good for him to know that. What I think is still confusing a bit, John, I guess to your point, is concussion in the spring, lightheadedness. Yeah, that can be one of the symptoms. It's not something you put at the top of the list. And certainly you would just hydrate for that. If this was a problem, why not just make sure that he's being hydrated? Why does he continue to have these spells? And two is then, drawing a connection from lightheadedness to freezing. It's just challenging. It's very hard to connect all those dots.
So interesting, so important to have Sanjay. Manu, with all of this and the updates that you're getting from McConnell's office, what are you hearing about? I mean, the Senate's back in today. How much are we going to see from the Republican leader? How much are we going to hear from him?
Well, we will hear from him this afternoon. He's expected to give his regularly scheduled remarks after the Senate opens. I'm sure he'll just be discussing mainly Senate business, but he will face cameras again tomorrow at their weekly leadership meeting. This will be an issue that that will come up. He'll be asked questions privately, too, among some of his members. He's already been on the phone with some of the key members of his leadership team. Other members and the rank and file have been calling him to see what's going on. So there are still these questions among these members who he's not had face-to-face interaction with since the Senate left for this 5-week August recess. Tomorrow he'll meet among a full Republican conference meeting as well. So the question is, will this allow Republicans and Republicans to move forward, focus on other issues, not McConnell's health? That's what they hope with this letter, to cool down the speculation and ease those concerns.
Yeah. Manu, thank you so much for jumping on. Dr. Sanjay Gupta, thank you as always.